Hi Scorpios, and welcome to your October 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the month ahead of October. In this reading, I will be doing some intuitive messages for you, followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast, and an extended reading on Patreon, which will be linked below. So let's get into it. I'm excited to be reading for you all this month, Scorpio, as we are hitting your season at the end of the month. And of course, moving into a very strong Scorpio eclipse season in November, as we have the South Node in Scorpio. The sign that the nodes are in always determine where eclipses will happen, what seasons of the year eclipses will take place. So yes, because of the South Node in Scorpio, it means that we have Scorpio season eclipses. So we're building up to that, and I'm going to talk in this reading about preparing for that time. And I'm also going to talk about moving towards your season on the Libra season side of it, especially. So intuitively, Scorpio, I feel like you really have to take a survey, sort of your current aura, okay? A survey of your current feeling of protection, your current feeling of strength in general in your life, okay? So we have these themes of material stability that should really be locked in coming into October. And then we have like the other parts of you, or the other parts of your energetic composition that have nothing to do with material and nothing to do with those things coming up, both kind of facing you or in a complete form, so that you can sort of survey that and understand what you like, what you don't like, and start to move forward. So there are a lot of things coming up for you this month, Scorpio. It's kind of like a barrage of energy, and I'm like, what do I want to talk about first? So I do want to just tell you that in October, you could feel like you're having to like really parse through a lot of different things. Like there are a lot of things coming up, or there are a multitude of different predicaments, I want to say, that you have to work through, or that you have to transcend. So this October of 2022 is going to be highly contingent on the reductions you've already implemented in your life, so that you have the energetic resources to actually filter through all of these potential decisions that are coming up for you in October. Of course, we have the exact Saturn-Uranus square happening in fellow fixed signs, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus on the 4th of October, and this will last for the entire month, which will be, for some of you, a headache, but it's a good kind of test because it is asking you important questions about longevity, important questions about sustainability, and also about how you fit into other types of social groups or social networks. I feel that you are maybe changing up your allegiance here, or you are changing your association, as it seems like the previous people or the previous groups that you've fit into before may not be resonating as much. And I feel that this can be uncomfortable for a lot of Scorpios for the oncoming time, where the previous things that brought you comfort or brought you a feeling of strength and stability are not doing that anymore. And here you have basically a real transformation on your hands, or you have a greater question about previous momentums as well that you had before you fit in so well, or before you connected so much to a certain niche or a certain other type of group. So I do see a lot of Scorpios kind of like reaching back and doing unfinished business, yes, and reestablishing a previous momentum as a current momentum, and then reducing certain current momentum. So do you see what I'm kind of getting at here? There's like all these different levers, or all of these different things that you're having to kind of juggle. I feel that there's even like, I don't know, for some Scorpios, this may not resonate, but it's almost like a clownish type of energy, where it's like a lot of juggling, or a lot of like participation in multiple different dimensions at the same time. And that takes a lot of energy, okay? So I think that while many Scorpios may not be able to step out of this in October, it's important to see that. And it's important to think about the cost of participating in so many different things, and the understanding of your options in a more stable way moving into the future. So like understanding essentially what has a shelf life, what is temporary, what is permanent. I mean, those questions are still here in October as well. Also, I felt intuitively that many Scorpios have to really amp up their auric healing, or the degree to which they choose not to participate with things that damage them or things that are a risk to them, either now or in the future. Okay, as I just feel that the energy around you is very cluttered, and I think that this can have a weird impact on your aura. So you want to understand why that clutter is there, and understand also why you're retaining some of these things, or why you are, again, participating with certain things that are getting in your way. I think there are a lot of things that can be placed to the side in the month of October. And I think that the way that you do that, or the way that you determine what you need to focus on and what you need to place aside, the way that you do that is through taking stock of just how you are, okay? And the actions you've taken that have generated this status of how you are. And then being able to line it all up. Like, okay, maybe this thing that I have so much trust or faith in that has me in this present context, does it warrant that faith or trust? Or is there a kind of Seven of Cups or moon energy coming up there where I have maybe a false attachment to something? Or because that's what I'm thinking with all this different dimensional participation. There's a feeling of I don't trust any one focus that I have in my life right now, so I need to have a multitude of them, or I need to have contingencies or options. So you definitely see the debilitated sense of a need for options, or a need for many different paths to be viable here in October. And there's a greater kind of self-expression coming for you by focusing on more singular paths, or focusing on more easy, natural things for yourself rather than forcing yourself. I also feel a self-forcing here. I feel I have to comply, or I have to fit a certain timeline. I have to be in a certain schedule. And that's also, I think, burning a lot of people out. So this is also evocative of the final Saturn-Uranus square coming through. And it's just something that all the fixed signs are going through here, where it's a compliance and also difficulty in meaningful self-assertion. That's important to look at. Difficulty in meaningful self-assertion. So negative forms of compliance existing because one struggles to assert themselves meaningfully, or the way in which one is self-asserting is not maybe where it needs to be happening. So definitely a redrawing of boundaries coming up this month as well. I think that you have to be careful about being too passive or acquiescing too easily to people. I feel many Scorpios becoming sort of a tool for another person, or a puppet for another person, also with this energy where it's your kindness or your lack of boundaries can lead to you being another person's assistant, or lead to you being another person's middleman or something like that. And whereas the natural universal energy is pushing the energy of Scorpio more towards an overseer, or a position of oversight. So I really want you guys to watch out for slotting yourself for managerial positions, or things which are evoking a feeling of oversight, or evoking that higher stature that you are feeling connected to, but may not really be that, or may actually have you being a subordinate to someone else in a way that's not so great. So definitely take a look at any form of subordination coming into your life, or any form of also workaholism, overworking, feelings of servitude or compensation also coming up here with the Ten of Wands, with the Tower reversed, with the Ace of Wands reversed. You have to really be willing to adapt here. And I mean, the death archetype is huge right now. I talked about this in the October 2022 comprehensive astrology video. The death archetype is huge. There has been a lot of changes in the world, and now is a good time to really find boundaries and modifications that work for us, because it's very supported. So try to not entrench yourself in any type of unnatural self-expression here. Okay, that's really the main thing for October. If you don't want to do things, I wouldn't force yourself to do them. Also, I would not prevent yourself from being in places where you deserve a seat at. So tables that you deserve a seat at, places where your voice needs to be heard, I wouldn't keep yourself from those places. At the same time, I wouldn't force myself to be places that I wouldn't want to be. This is a new balance that you have to find in Libra season here. And it's kind of like painful to talk about, Scorpios. It's not going to be a bad month, like especially if you've got Sagittarius in your chart, like you're going to be good. It's going to be a really empowering time actually for your sign. But empowerment very rarely comes easily, okay? And I do think there's a bigger question about why do we need this empowerment? What's the end game here? And what is the substance of what you're participating in, okay? But I think that through the difficulty that you face during this time, you will be like issued dividends for a really long time, or you will have remaining energy from the investment over this year of whole year of 2022 for a long time to come. Even for the rest of your life, you could be having benefits from this. So it's like not a bad thing, but I do want to make sure that you don't like injure your sense of self, or that you don't like do collateral damage either, because that's big stuff that you're working with when you're talking about like lifelong achievements, or you're talking about lifelong sources of energy. It takes a lot to be manifesting that for some people. Anyway, Scorpios, let's talk about your week to week. First week of October, the Ace of Wands reversed, regen by the Tower reversed. There's something that you're trying to uphold or upkeep that doesn't have a natural momentum to be upheld or upkept, okay? So this is basically like going against the greater grain of the universe. Like, you know, like with like fabric, if you go against the grain, that kind of uncomfortable feeling on your hand, it makes the whole nervous system feel bad. You know, I do feel that there are some Scorpios going against the grain here when they don't have to. Like, try to go with the grain more. Try to embrace the new way that things are done, and try to not be reinventing wheels. Yes, I feel that there is a reinvention of the wheel. I feel that there is a compliance with an old structure or an old grid. That doesn't have to be that way. And I feel that you have to be willing to develop a new muscle memory here, or you have to be willing to try new things or start new projects and maybe not be the most powerful person in the picture soon. At least if it's not now, it could even be like within the next 8 or 9 months. There's a willingness to be in what could be seen as a subservient position, but might be like really giving to you in the long run, okay? Which kind of contradicts some of the previous messages. You know, Saturn, you're in a square. There are just going to be contradictions right now. But yes, the main thing that you want to watch out for in the first week of October is trying to get that square peg in the round hole, okay? Being creative in a space where that momentum is meant to be more like managerial or meant to be more cold, okay? Trying to bring heat to the cold, trying to change things that are way bigger than you. You want to kind of scale it down a little bit, I feel here. Also, you could be like managing crises, or you could be like a crisis manager. Careers like that could be indicated for you, or anything that has you trying to like change the tide, or change the natural momentum of things. I mean, yeah, that could be successful for you, but it's also kind of exhausting. So you want to keep an eye on disrupting natural momentums. Okay. Instead, maybe like move in tandem with that momentum, so it feels like a more downstream type of movement, you know? Okay, getting on to the second week, so things start to get way better, and the entire final 3 weeks of October are like a totally lighter, better feeling for you. And you are called to be like better by then, okay? By the second week of October, you've got to know yourself a little bit better, or you've got to start just accepting what leads to healthy, nice outcomes and what doesn't, and step onto that healthy side. I mean, you can do whatever you want, of course, but I feel like by the second week of October, like Scorpio knows, like point blank, in black and white, what is and is not serving them. And to not move intelligently with those results is a shocking thought to me for Scorpios. Like, your sign is all about this. Your sign is about figuring things out, getting it in black and white, and making changes and transformations based on what you figure out. Yet at the same time, I'm seeing like Scorpios, a lot of Scorpios, not all, activating a certain shadow form of loyalty where it's like, I will just be a statue in this current expression and I won't adapt to the ways that I know could do better. And we want to really step out of that, or we want to transcend that here and start to work and express in ways that feel more natural. So we have a walking away, right? The 8 of Cups rooted down by the Page of Wands. the walking away from something that works but is not feeling good or is not leading to prosperity. Okay. And then a new creativity coming as a result of that, right? As we move into new territories, we have a new form of desire, excitement, and trust in the options that are coming up there rather than those previous options that were so like cemented or set in stone. In the third week, you have the star rooted down by the Four of Wands. So by the third week of October, you totally have transcended something. So you've made a decision, or you have healed something, or your aura is starting to get stronger. Okay, Scorpios, and it needs to be. I feel that Scorpio is honestly, and this depends on the individual, it depends on the chart, so take it with a grain of salt. But if it resonates, I think it's a really important thing to say. To me, Scorpio feels in the top 3 signs of auric damage right now. Okay? I feel that it's rooted in a lot of things. It has to do with the South Node being in your sign, and it like cues up damage so that you actually start to take action. It's not damage for the sake of damage. It's not damage just for no reason. It's damage because at some point in time there was a refusal to change something that was negative, but it wasn't yielding you the negative results yet. So by the third week of October, you know what you need to do. You know how to heal it. You know how to get better. You know what a better path could be. And it's not so mysterious anymore. It's not so like stuck in the dark. So stuck in the dark. Do any of you feel that way? Do you feel like you have like this individual light source, or this is like the hermit archetype in tarot? Do you feel like you have this individual light source and then everything that's not illuminated by that is kind of like in darkness? I think that's a normal feeling for a lot of Scorpios right now. So you like don't want to make changes to your own individual light source, right? Because you don't want to threaten extinguishing that. And here is a major revelation or a major clarity coming for you in the third week of October, where it's like, it's not possible to damage it, or it's actually maybe the dimmest it could be for some of you. If you are fearful of that, if you're fearful of like, you know, changing any of your formulas because you fear a collapse or you fear a complete loss or something, like this becomes, I think, an irrational fear for a lot of Scorpios, because also to have the South Node in your sign is deeply empowering. So I feel that feeling of you being the only one who's out for your best interest, or you being the only one you can trust, I think that's for a lot of Scorpios not the most rational feeling right now. I think that it's like a romanticized feeling, or it's a long running feeling that has basically lasted for a long time from when it was true, like maybe years and years ago, but now it's not. So there's more opportunities coming in. There are celebrations as well. Some of you are having some form of graduation in the third week. I mean, that is when Scorpio season comes in, right? You're the star, right? It's your season coming in during the third week of October. And I would just lean into what you know works for you. Okay? Styles that you know that work. Healing methods that are tried and true for you. For me, it's like apple cider vinegar and lemon. Okay? That's a universal healing mechanism for me that's so simple, so cheap, so feasible. It's hard to go wrong with it. I mean, it's hard. You can't like OD on apple cider vinegar and lemon, really. But for me, it's also things like elderberry, okay? It's things like just so much water. As a Scorpio myself, like I honestly feel that Scorpios need more hydration than the average person. So if you're dehydrated, if you're acidic, that could be like a lot of what you're going through right now, and a lot of the cause for the desperation, the indecisiveness, the lack of trust. Also, addictions to social media or any form of media. Okay, cult of dopamine. I've been talking about this a lot too. Those are two things that I would definitely put front and center for you guys. For those of you who are not struggling with these things as much, you'll already be doing 10 times better. Try to detach from all the media and also the acidic eating. Okay, this is like a combined way to like be totally mentally unwell. Okay, so like common American diet, for example, plus checking Facebook or YouTube 200 times a day. What a way to be totally disempowered, you know? So the star is about health. The star is about alkalinity, hydration, And it represents nudity, right? And it's the only card in your reading that has a representation of nudity. All of the other ones are very fully clothed. So you have, and this is something that I was noticing for Scorpio for a while, is like all the cards were depicting this feeling of like so many draped garments, which was like to me feeling like a concealing, or feeling like you're wanting to like hide underneath your clothing or hide underneath your lifestyle in some way. Or hide under your status, or wanting to have some sort of status or authority, some type of badge or some type of pin or some type of status symbol or something that protects you. Okay, that's also part of this nodal axis happening, and that's a more collective thing. But I'm happy to see the star coming up for you, because you're actually getting under the surface, and you're actually seeing what matters, and you're seeing like the health of your skin, the true health of you underneath all of the drapery, okay? And I would look at that. I would look at where there's a compensation happening, either in status, in anything that is like a mask or a shield from the rest of the world. Because what you can see is if you do have that, or if you do kind of embody that, it can lead to really bad health, because there's an association with health as the external, or as the status, or as the material orientation, not as the true alchemy of health. So big change in diet, I feel, for a lot of you, or a big change in what's actually like happening to you in your house, what's actually happening to you like in the private sphere, not in the public sphere. I think the public sphere stuff for you is surprisingly really good. So, and I think a lot of you are, and this is important, Scorpios, oh my gosh, I'm getting chills. So I think that a lot of you are freaked out about the public sphere stuff with the North Node in your opposing sign of Taurus. A lot of you are freaked out about like, oh my God, how am I coming off at my job? How am I coming off in the classroom? How am I coming off with my style? Does my style look right? Does the hairstyle right? Like all of this obsessive status orientation. I know it's not all Scorpios, but I need to talk to the Scorpios who are struggling with this. I think that that stuff is fine for you, surprisingly. And a lot of you are like mind blown by this. I understand. Actually, it's your private sphere that's way off right now. You just have to have a moment of silence for that. Because I think that this is a huge like aha moment, light bulb moment for a lot of Scorpios, where they've been totally like invested in the public aspect, or invested in like crafting themselves a certain status or foundation or platform in the outer world. And they've been trying to like work on that, and they've been freaking out about that, and they've been wondering why that feels wrong. And it's because of their private life, or it's because of their eating habits or sleeping habits, or even like just the way that you're treating your body. Okay, so the way that you're treating your skin, the way that you are talking to yourself, the way that you are keep a close eye. This is just a random download. Keep a close watch on medicines that you're taking, or anything that's like a potent, because we have lunar eclipses coming up in Scorpio plus Scorpio season. So small things that have potency. Okay, mean words, fighting spirit, medicines, any type of substances. Okay, even down to like caffeine, even down to like melatonin, even these like small level substances. Careful there. There's something I feel of a need to question a Scorpio about, like, why not the natural alchemy? Okay, why the unnatural alchemy? Why the major changes to your natural energy stores? Okay, but yes, the third week is beautiful. This reading's going a long time. The third week is a celebration. It's meant to be nice. It's meant to be like a reclaiming of who you are. It's meant to be like a victory for you. So try to give that to yourself leading up to it over the first 2 weeks. Also, people will celebrate you, and I think you'll be very popular in public, at least. Week number 4, the 10 of Wands, rooted down by justice. Okay. And it comes back in, like the repetition or the cyclical nature of the hard work that you're having to do. I think that a lot of you are just working so hard to achieve some type of protective mechanism. Whether it's money, status, or relationships, or whatever it is, there's something that's trying way too hard and putting itself through way too much. So it feels kind of OCD to me. It feels kind of like doing more than it has to do. It feels like we're like cleansing the karma or compensating for the past pain through doing things, through trying things, through effort. So we're connecting our feelings of labor, effort, output of energy with a healing process. And I think that that has to be reversed here. Okay. We need to associate our healing and our trauma relief process with more of an intake, okay, rather than an output here. So that with the Justice card coming up, it's going to give you some major arcana energy, major universal energy to equalize that balance and to change it, okay? You will find a lot better source of material well-being, all forms of well-being through, I feel, more of an intake now, or through more of a pulling within instead of a pushing out, all right? Let's talk more about that in your extended reading, Scorpio. I'm going to get a central theme for you. I'll talk more about building up to your season, and I will do some more preparation for the lunar eclipses coming up in that. Yes, I will get more cards, and we will go even further into it. That will be linked below and in the center of your screen. Come check it out. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. Have a great month. Bye.